Well, my guest today is Mack Brock, and we are delighted to have you at the church for part of our summer festival. And the weather's a little spotty today, so we're trusting God we're going to get the concert in or the worship time in. But
we are praying.
The Lord has kept us. We did when we started outside. We thought we'd be outside a couple of weeks. That was back at the beginning of May, and they said we can't stay outside in July and August in Tennessee. It'll be awful.
Right.
But every week, we've done 3 services a week, and every week the weather has been, God's just cooled it off.
Really?
Some weeks it's a cloud, and some weeks it's a breeze, and so it'll be okay. I did one service in a torrential downpour. It looked like I was in a shower the whole time. But,
yeah.
But it's other than that, we've done really, really well. So
that's awesome.
We're excited you're here. Now, you've been through a pretty big transition. You were part of worship at Elevation Church.
Yes.
For a long time, like 10 years.
Yep, for a decade.
What would you start when you were 4?
I was there. It was the year after I got married. Me and my wife moved up to Charlotte to kind of help be a part of the start of that.
Well, this is the South. You can get married after 6, so the timeline still
not quite that young, but yeah, I wasn't too far from it.
And so you transitioned then out of that, and COVID kind of blew in. So
yeah.
You've had to have some courage in this season.
It's, all of my friends are musicians, and so we're all sharing the same story of navigating what this looks like now.
Yes.
But surprisingly, I don't know, me and my wife talk about it a lot. Like, we have a lot of peace in our household and a lot of gratitude for even in the midst of this like unknown season, God has still been really faithful and really good. And so kind of just walking it out one day at a time.
I believe you have a peaceful spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know you very well, but just in having a casual conversation, which is nice. I can absorb a little of that. I get a little torqued up sometimes.
Yeah, you'll catch me on different days, and it's an anxious spirit.
So you've got a new project coming out. It's going to be, we can get a copy of it, or we can get to it in November.
Yeah.
So where do we find that? What's it called?
So it's a new album. The album's called Space. And it's 8 songs it's a live record just without a crowd because we weren't allowed to have a crowd. And so we recorded it live in Charlotte at a friend of mine's place. And just really we kind of treated it. I had a lot of like close friends there that were just in the room with us praying and kind of interceding like during the worship set. But we treated it like it was like just us like worshiping, we treated it like I would like a normal live worship service. Yeah, it was really special. It was a good day.
That's awesome. Well, I went to Oral Roberts University 100 years ago when contemporary Christian music, kind of as we know it today, was emerging. Larry Norman, Second Chapter of Acts.
Yeah. Oral Roberts is the place with the big praying hands.
Yes.
Yes, I was there once.
Well, they're on campus now. When that first happened, Oral was building a hospital 60 stories tall.
Really?
And he wanted to join prayer and medicine. And they had those hands forged and put them in front of the hospital.
I love it.
And then economics changed, and they ended up moving those over to the university. So after I was long gone.
Okay.
But I always like to sit with people that are invested in music and worship because the Spirit of God's involved, and that's an ever-changing. So talk to me a little bit. What do you feel? What do you see happening in worship music? And because I love the energy around it.
Yeah.
When it was back, 40 years ago, literally, it was kind of viewed with skepticism because it was
right.
Keith Green and
right.
Nobody was sure whether that was really kosher
or
not.
Paved
we
the
were
way.
Still singing out of books.
Right.
And, we're decades later, but I see the Spirit of God still ministering in new ways, and that blesses me. So any perspectives on...
I mean, outside of Zoom playing a big part in worship right now, that's been the biggest added bonus to worship is virtual worship.
The Holy Spirit Zooms. That's
right.
good to know.
But I mean, I joke about that, but it is kind of cool to even see the way like the time that we're in now as a country with the shutdowns and so many people can't gather personally. To even still see like God moving through worship or moving through sermons or communities even over a computer screen is like pretty interesting. I'll say that I'm really looking forward to tonight, where I can actually hear voices of other people when I'm, singing songs of worship. But overall, I don't know. I think that there's, I feel like I've seen over the last several years, people pressing more into what can happen in a worship experience and what can happen just an encounter with God during singing him a song. And when I was growing up, I always loved music and loved worship, but it was kind of like we did it and then moved on to the sermon and then moved on to, afternoon lunch or something at grandma's house. And so to even see just the embracing of people saying wow, God can move in a really powerful way with a song, and he can touch your heart and he can change a life. He can heal, he can do whatever he wants. And there's something special when we kind of say out loud who he is and say out loud what he can do. And then we can actually receive those things that he can do. I think that there's just an openness to that now more than ever, maybe, or at least more than ever in our culture. And so that's been awesome to witness and to be a part of and to see it firsthand.
No, there's a lot of wisdom in that God ministers to us in worship.
Yes.
That it's not the prelude to something else.
Right.
And it isn't just about music. It's a way of coming into the presence of God.
Right.
And that's transformational.
Yes.
That is so true. And, I guess just because of the how many birthdays I've had, I watch the Lord help every generation learn. And if we can keep our hearts open, we all get stronger.
Right.
Because we all want to be pioneers and cutting edge.
Yeah, but that teachability spirit,
yes.
That's so good.
And so I hear that in your heart, and I'm thinking, absolutely, we've got to let every generation come to understand how to connect with the Lord in the best possible way.
Yeah, because I even see, I even think about my kids. So I have a 9-year-old son and a 5-year-old little daughter. And when my son, this was probably 3 years ago, started having anxiousness at night, or he couldn't sleep because his mind was getting scared of something or whatever, we play worship music on a little iPod in his room every night. And it's just a Spotify, it's a Spotify playlist that's endless. And it's funny, so both my kids now, because my daughter got onto it as well, every single night when they go to bed, they put on their worship music and it plays constantly over them through the night. And I think it's just so, even for them as children, to say, I want this in my room, I want this around me, this helps calm my spirit, I think it's powerful, and it's challenging to me,
It is powerful. Is he more peaceful now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That happened to me when I was my parents, we went to church, but we weren't Christians.
Okay.
And I started hearing at night, when the sun would go down, I would hear voices.
Yeah.
And it scared me.
Right.
Seriously. And my parents thought didn't want to go to bed, or, they thought I was trying to scam them in some way. And through the years, I have prayed with dozens and dozens of families who had children going through some semblance of that. So if you've got a child in your home and they get afraid, get Spotify, get some good worship music.
I had the same thing as a kid. I'm even thinking back on it, I was a scared kid to go to sleep, but we didn't have iPods back then. But I would,
we hardly had electricity when I was a kid.
Right. I would have very specific prayers that my family would come in and we'd pray together, and we'd kind of speak over the room and speak over our spirits. But I do think that worship is it's such a simple and audibly soothing thing to have as a calming presence in our life.
Absolutely. And I think children have a spiritual sensitivity.
You're right.
That a lot of times some of us lose as we mature if we don't protect it and guard it. So
totally.
Absolutely. In fact, I read something that you and your kids have been doing some art during quarantine.
Yeah, trying to. My son's a good artist, and I'm not a good artist, but I've been trying. Me and him have been painting and doing, early on in quarantine, we were just trying to find anything to do while we were stuck at home.
We've all had a little bit of that.
So, yeah, we had fun with that.
You're a Lakers fan.
I'm a LeBron James fan.
Okay.
I never thought I would be a Lakers fan. My whole life, I've never been a Lakers fan, but I really do like LeBron James, so I'm pulling for the Lakers this year.
It's amazing how God changes our hearts, right?
You know, God can do anything. He can move in mighty and mysterious ways.
So have you got plans for the new year? I know everybody's kind of pushed everything towards 2021.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff that I had booked, you know, or just tours or conferences and stuff has all been rebooked for 2021. Even that though, I feel like me and my wife, we're just trying to be open-handed. You know, we're trying to walk into this season, like I said, day by day, but having an open, flexible spirit to, I don't know what it's going to look like come January, you know? But we're trusting the Lord, and we're kind of trusting just even releasing a new album in the middle of all this is kind of chaotic and weird, and don't even really know how to promote it or what to do, but still feeling like there's a need for songs of worship. There's still a need for new language, new sounds. And so we're kind of pressing into it, even unsure of how it's all going to play out.
We're all living with a lot of that uncertainty, but I'm almost starting to make some peace with it. I feel like we've gotten on the ark with Noah. And we're going to land someplace, and it's not really clear where.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to build a whole new thing.
It's a good analogy, yeah.
And I'm not suggesting destruction. I'm not trying to bring the darkness into it, but I'm not mourning that we're landing in a new place and there's new opportunities and we're learning new ways to interact with our world.
Right.
It's going to be good.
I think Steve just mentioned it right before we started this podcast, how it feels like so many churches are church planning again.
It does.
You know, even a church that I think y'all started in the 80s, and
we did.
It was your parents that started it, but it's like, if anything that COVID has done, it's gotten us creative and gotten, made us scrappy, trying to figure out, all right, how can we do this? How can we make this new, or how are we going to adjust? And there's an excitement to it, you know? There's an anxiousness to it. There's a stress that comes along with it. But I think that can be overpowered by like the anticipation for what it could look like.
I like that, scrappy for Jesus.
Yes.
But it's for me, it's forcing me to be a better listener. Because we need God's direction every day.
Yes.
And the routine that I used to rely on isn't available to me.
Right.
And so I get up every morning and say, okay, Lord, what are the directions for today?
Right.
And initially it annoyed me because it took a focus and a reorientation. And then I thought, that's kind of off. It's not really good to be annoyed by having to listen to the Lord.
I've been annoyed by the Lord many times.
So I have become a much happier listener.
Right.
And grateful for the opportunity. So it's an exciting time.
It is.
It can be frightening, but it's an exciting time.
But even y'all doing, these events every week and seeing, I'm sure that what y'all have seen over the last 10 weeks has been really special and unique and unplanned. We never would have planned for this, but even being able to witness that, I'm sure, has been special.
Proportions.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We realized a few weeks ago we needed to help people gain momentum in their faith, so we put a swimming pool up so we could do baptisms every Saturday night.
Yeah.
And we have baptized hundreds of people. We've had people show up from North Dakota and South Carolina and Georgia and even Alabama people come.
Wow.
Who knew?
It's amazing.
And to see what God is doing in our hearts and lives. So, it hasn't always been the most comfortable setting because we were outside in July and August. But
right.
There's something about our faith that can't be dictated by comfort and convenience. And so I think we're learning some good lessons.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to meet some new artists and have some friends in. And so to be in front of an audience or a group of people that are worshiping the Lord again is renewing.
It's so awesome.
We will never take that for granted again.
It is so special and so good. I know. I've gotten to lead a handful of times since this started, and it's been special every time.
Well, part of my assignment with the Lord is to raise up a generation of people to pray. So the folks that listen to the podcast, pray for the people that are on the podcast. So how can we pray for you as we look at the end of 2020 and 21 and your family?
Yeah, I think, pray for these songs, pray for this project. I really am proud of it and just excited about it. I do think it's some of the most special songs that I've written. But I think more than that, continued prayer for my family, for my kids. Me and my wife just started foster parenting. We're about like a little over a month into that. That's been a whole new journey, but it's been great. And it's been so, God has like showed up so many times in that, like for our kids and all that stuff, but just continued. I just want our house to be a house filled with the Spirit and filled with the peace of the Spirit and joy of the Spirit. And so that's my biggest prayer request.
Absolutely. I love that, the foster parenting.
Yeah.
What prompted that choice?
That's something that was primarily on my wife's heart for a long time. And then we started the process back in November to get licensed. It took a long, that's a long process. And then as soon as we got licensed was in April when things kind of just shut down. And so we just got our first foster placement a little over a month ago. And so it's been like such a blessing for us already. It's been so cool to see my kids like step up and love on this little dude. And it's been really cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
We work with several foster families and agencies.
Oh,
and
awesome.
It's not enough to say to people that abortion's bad. We have to help do something to minister to children and families that are under stress. And so
it's a massive need.
It is. There's a huge need in our nation and around the world.
Yeah.
I always have this, Jesus said that the children's angels always have the Father's attention. So it gives me, I take it very seriously when I interact with a child.
Yeah. Because
I know that they have God's unique attention.
Right.
And I always want the kids to pray for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they've got the direct line. The rest of us have to have we don't have direct lines, but they do. And so.
Yeah, that's so good. My wife had a work thing that was like really important. And so me and my son, I asked my son to for us to pray for her. And he kind of gets really shy and nervous. And he's like, he doesn't know. He's like, I don't know what to say. I don't, And so we were like walking him through that of like, just say what's on your heart or whatever. And it's always so inspiring to me, the things that naturally come to a child that's praying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so good.
They have an openness to the Lord.
Right.
Particularly if they're fortunate enough to have parents that are giving them a little coaching towards that. So
they haven't put up many walls yet.
No, they haven't. But we're learning to take ours down.
Right.
God is going to help us.
Yeah.
I'm determined to come out of this COVID, whatever the 2020 is about, with a new heart for the Lord. So
yeah.
I feel like he's given us a new invitation. And I don't want to miss any of his new mercies. So.
Yeah, agree.
My guest today has been Mack Brock. And thank you for your heart for the Lord and for worship and his people. You're a strength to the church.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you blessed a lot of people with your music. You keep listening and writing and inviting us into the presence of the Lord.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and there is pain in your life and difficulty, you take some time, get some worship music going, lift your heart and your hands.
Yeah.
And the heaviness will leave. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom.
Yes.
And if you don't have the freedom you need, you start to worship the Lord. Do it when you don't feel like it.
Right.
It's a sacrifice.
Yes.
In my mind, it's like I have to push back on the heaviness and say, you're not welcome here.
Right.
But the Lord will minister to you. I have experienced it over and over and over again. And you can experience that wherever you are listening to this. So,
yes.
Mack, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited about what's next. Makes me smile. Whole new generation coming.
I'm excited too.
All right, thanks.